Wonderful people at Singularity University. My name is Julio Ferino Ortiz. I'm together with my Chief Technology Officer, Fernando Roberto Webb, on the controls to present you our project for our company, Carbones Activados del Noreste, SAPI de CB, or better known as the project name, brand name, Daedalus. We make activated carbon. We specifically make activated carbon from a renewable organic source that's considered a very low value subproduct of the poultry industry, feathers. Now, what is special about activated carbon is specifically the price at which we can manufacture it. But let's go back to the basics. What is activated carbon? Now, the easiest way to understand activated carbon is to picture a labyrinth. Imagine a labyrinth where you'll put in all the bad things you don't want to drink or breathe. What sort of bad things you don't want to drink or breathe? How about heavy metals? You don't want to drink pesticides, you don't want to drink dyes, you don't want to drink pigments, and all that sort of nasty stuff. So what you do is imagine this labyrinth where they all go in and they just can't find their way out. And now you're going to shrink this labyrinth into a nanoscopic level. And that is activated carbon. And we've known activated carbon for at least a century. And we've been using charcoal to purify for even longer than that. We're talking centuries now. What's different is that we have diverged from the status quo of the industry by renouncing the three main sources that they use. Mineral coal, coconut shells, and wood. Now, coal is an excellent source of activated carbon. It makes good quality activated carbon. The problem with coal, especially bituminous coal is the one that's used the most, is that it's expensive. Why is it expensive? Because thermoelectric plants use a lot of coal. This results in a natural scarcity of the product that drives the prices up. And another detail with coal is that being a natural mineral, it does have heavy metal impurities embedded into it. And through malpractice that sometimes happens, especially in our residence country in Mexico and other third world countries, the impurities can get into the matrix when you don't use it properly. That's bad. Now, coconut shell is great. The problem is that coconut is basically restricted to specific geographic conditions. You want a beach, you want warm seas. And the problem with that is that you cannot grow it everywhere. You have a very limited supply from the get-go, and you have to bring it all over across the world. Now, added to that problem, there's a second problem. Coconuts are not exactly stable as a supply. Now, why is that? Well, there's hurricanes, there's typhoons that can severely damage your production, and there's also phenomena such as the yellow fever that can also kill all the palm trees. Actually, Mexico is just recovering from one very nasty case of yellow fever that basically destroyed all the production from the Gulf Coast. So, overnight, if you use coconut coal, you can lose all your supply. So that's not good. That's not a solution. And finally, trees, wood. I think we all know what's wrong with cutting down wood to produce activated carbon and any other source of fuel. So we need an alternative, and that's what we thought. Like, okay, so we cannot use these sources. These sources are not good in the long term. We need to do something else. And we came to the conclusion of these basic principles. The source has to be widely available, it has to be cheap, and it has to be, of course, rich in carbon. And the answer we found was poultry feathers. Now, when you look at a feather, you generally don't think, oh, yeah, this is going to make great bulky carbon. But it turns out that it does. When you come to realization that the feather is mostly keratin, rich in carbon, rich in nitrogen, which is good for the overall absorption of the material. And of course, you first are going to think, but there's not enough feathers. And that just means that you haven't taken a close look at the poultry industry. There's more than enough feathers. In just a very close, small poultry manufacturing plant, they have 60 tons a day of wet feathers. That's more than enough. A small, middle-sized factory. Now imagine a giant factory. There's more than enough feathers. So much that the poultry industry does not know what to do with them. They can either try to produce feather feed, which is bad, to say the least. Why? Because it's expensive to make, it barely makes up for production costs, and it introduces a whole lot of problems with healthcare issues. The whole mad cow disease came from poultry feather feed. And the other detail with feather feed is that you might try to use it, most people just dispose of it. And yeah, there's the legit people that dispose of it appropriately by paying, but there's also the people that just burn it up. It all goes into the air. That's bad. We want to stop that. I want to stop that and then produce activated carbon that helps us sequester all the emissions from the industry. We're basically killing two birds with one stone. And well, it's been my pleasure introducing your product idea. Any details will you have our application, and I just want to thank you very deeply for taking the time to review our application. Bye-bye.